Hi, hello, this is Risk, and welcome to episode 7 of Koppai Podcast. I am joined once again by my brother Zach Risk, Mr. Koppai himself. Koppai! And today, we're going to be talking about, of course, Nintendo. A bunch of Nintendo stuff. It's been a little bit of a slower week compared to the weeks that we've had prior. I mean, in other weeks we had Super Mario Maker coverage, there was the new president, there was corporate restructure and all sorts of stuff, and then this week we get Happy Home Designer. But so maybe a little bit shorter because of that, but we'll try to find a way to fill up the time with just good old-fashioned Nintendo discussion. And so without further ado, we're going to be covering, like I said, Happy Home Designer Day. We're going to be talking about Super Smash Bros. For a little bit and the new Nintendo 3DS and some of the faceplates they got. We'll also be talking, of course, about Super Mario Maker, because we can always talk about Super Mario Maker, along with Mario just as an icon, as a gaming icon. And then we may even bring up Shuhei Yoshida. And I know what you're thinking. You maybe even saw him in the thumbnail. Why are we talking about Shuhei Yoshida? But he had some things to say about certain things, and so we'll talk about that at the end. But Zach.
Yes?
I got Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. It arrived in the mail on a Friday afternoon. I was hanging out with my lady. She was visiting for the weekend, and I said, hey, I know we're going to go on all sorts of dates. We're going to go see movies and go to the Mall of America and party it up, but I need to run by the mail center real quick because a very important package just arrived. And I went and I got it, and of course, it was Happy Home Designer, because that came out on Friday. You guys can all, if you're listening to this right now, you can go pick it up. It's out. It's out there in the wild, along with the Amiibo cards, but those are pretty scarce right now. Yeah. But no, I haven't had too much time to play it. As I mentioned, my lady was in town, and so I was hanging out with her quite a bit. But when we would get done hanging out, I would have time to play, and I would kind of do my Destiny bounties and stuff. But this game actually very much so pulled me away, because I played a little bit of it, and I have to say, it is fun. It's mentioned here in Zach's Koppai notes that the game is currently at a 66 on Metacritic, with an average user score of 7.2, with IGN being a little bit higher with an 8.0 out of 10, by a review by Callie Pleggy. And her big praise for the game was that it's finally kind of letting you do what you've always wanted to do, which is design homes easily with all the items, really unique themes. And that's kind of a really big part of Animal Crossing that can sometimes be really hard to accomplish because of all the other tedious tasks of the game. But at the same time, it's those tedious tasks that allow you to design your homes that really fill up the rewarding factor of it all. And so because of that, she felt somewhat unsatisfied with designing a really nice house, and then she also didn't have a home to call her own. And so kind of knowing her review and knowing what she was thinking about the game and what was kind of the general consensus online, I kind of had a bias going into it, like, okay, this is going to be weird without my own home, and this is going to be maybe lacking in satisfaction and reward. But I think the game has a really nice polish to it, and it's interesting to see Animal Crossing as a franchise and more of a just that IP instead of just as the Animal Crossing core games. So it's kind of like the first spin-off that they've done. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting to see kind of what the Animal Crossing theme that carries over, but how it applies it to its own new game. And so you have the things like the little animals talking and stuff, and even like kind of in the menu, that like kind of little charm, and just the very lighthearted music. And then just the visuals are all just very snappy. Like everything kind of snaps into place, everything's very bubbly, and everything just kind of fits and works in that kind of Animal Crossing way. If you've played Animal Crossing, I think you kind of know what I'm talking about. And so it has that charm. And when you design a home, because I'm kind of trying to recall how the game starts. When you get the game and stuff, you have to design homes, obviously. And when you design your first home, it's kind of, a lot of it's in preparation and really pushing the whole aspect of sharing the homes that you've made. And so it's kind of like when you played Animal Crossing New Leaf, how they always said go to the Happy Homes showcase and stuff. and you could street pass and show off all your homes, or go online and upload them and show off your homes. And so this is just kind of pushing that from the get-go, and that's the only really kind of connection they have with anyone else. And so when you do finally complete a home, there's like a little showcase of it, right, where it's all these different camera angles and the little villagers inside, and there's much more interaction with furniture in this game than there was in New Leaf. For example, if you have a bookcase in your house, you can go up and pull a book off of it and read it. Like, obviously you can like turn off and off lamps and TVs and stuff, but there's also like, if there's, oh gosh, I'm trying to think, like if there's just like anything that you can really interact with, like you'll like start drawing on like little sketch pads and stuff, and just your villager will react and like carry things around the house. If there's like a coffee maker or something, he'll take a cup of coffee and drink it, because they can't really get that anywhere else. It's all within their house. And so that added kind of an immersion to it. But then also, when they do that showcase at the end, they're kind of going around using everything of their house. And if you scan in the amiibo cards, you can have other villagers come in and kind of do those things also to embrace the showcasing of it. And with the music and then the visuals that I mentioned earlier, because the point that it's driving to is that I do think it does kind of have a rewarding feel to it. And I kind of find myself, it's one of those games where I kind of find myself like, I really want to sit down and I just want to design another house. Because unlike in New Leaf, where you had to wait a whole day to get other things done, in Happy Home Designer, it still has that day system where it's like you just you can only do so much in one day, but then you can skip to the next day, so it's not in real time. And so they'll be like, you can only design one home a day, and then you go design a home, and it's like, okay, now you have to go to sleep and come back the next day. And
Right.
so you can sit down for as long as you want, but it does really kind of work well at, you go, you sit down, you design a house, and you really take your time with it because you really want to make it look nice, and you have almost like all the furniture available to you, like you kind of earn it through designing houses and stuff. I'm still not completely sure how that works, but so far,
You say you don't have it all available to you?
not at first. When like the first house I designed, the person said, I want a bunch of books. Like I'm a bookworm, so I want a bunch of books in my house.
Right.
And so I think I had like some of the modern wood furniture. I had a few wallpapers. I had like some minimalistic ones. And then they had from the old village that they moved from, because it's kind of having that kind of theme where it's like all these people are moving to this new city and they want a new house. And so like this person already had a bookshelf. They already had a stack of books, and they already had, I think, like a homework set or something.
I see.
And so...
Okay.
Oh, but so with that, I also had other kind of book things, and so I had kind of that modern wood theme. I had a few other bookshelves, and like if I wanted to, I could use as many of the bookshelves as I wanted. Like I could copy it and like have just use the one item over and over and over again. And so I put the two bookshelves to divide the room in half and kind of make a little hallway. And then behind the two bookshelves, I had his bedroom with like some of his like dressers and stuff, and then the front area I had little chairs that he could sit in and read his books. And like he would even do that, like he'd grab a book and go and sit down and read, and it was just kind of cute to see him in his house. And so you don't have all the items, but I noticed like that after I did that, then the next person was like, I want a bunch of robotics in my house, like I want all robot themes. And so you use that kind of robot theme, but then they also unlock things that kind of go with that. So they unlock maybe a minimalistic dresser, or maybe like an old-fashioned TV to kind of go with the robot theme. And then I could go back to that bookhouse person and be like, hey, let's redesign your house again and add in the things I've unlocked later. And so it kind of encourages you to go back and redesign houses.
Oh, I see. Because I was going to say, it's just some of the contracting statements that I've heard for the game are kind of that, or one of the most harsh kind of critiques that I heard was that they say it's not really a video game. There's not really much challenge about the game. There's no puzzle element. There's no way of doing things wrong. I'm kind of thinking, because I was going to ask about, it seems like they basically give you the tools that you can use, and you can organize those in any way that you kind of choose to. But so that's kind of where people kind of differ, because I was thinking, like, why would you want to share if basically somebody says, I want books in my house, here's my bookshelves, then when you share it online, a lot of people are going to have very similar looking rooms, I would think, except just the way maybe they laid them out differently, how you had your bookshelves divide the room, and
I don't
things
know.
like that.
It's
So I'm just
interesting.
wondering.
It's interesting because I've seen I watched the video review today of Callie Plague's thing. I think I saw her with the bookshelf person. I don't know if maybe that's like just beginning one. Maybe everyone gets that at first.
Yeah.
But I saw hers and it looked much different than mine. Because you can do certain things like you can, add in all those different objects, and it's crazy the different amount of combinations, because not only you use the bottom screen touchpad to move around the furniture.
Yeah.
And it all clicks into place, but like something that you can do now that you couldn't do in New Leaf is you can put things kind of in between spots. So like say how everything like was in a grid before, now you can move things halfway. So you can have a chair and then a desk only half a block away, and your little character kind of like wedges between the chair and the table. If he's walking through it, like he can't walk completely through it. And there's little things like that where you can really jam pack some corners, or you can really make it very spacious. You can add in rugs, and you can choose to make the rugs small, medium, or large. And so you can have like small little floor rugs, or the rug could take up the entire room, or you could have several rugs throughout the room, kind of making different sort of sections and stuff. And then you can change the wallpaper, the carpet. And by the time you have all those little things where it can go this way, that way, rotate that way, have this carpet here and that rug there, it really does make them pretty unique. And
right, because they don't say I want, a bookshelf on this wall, or
no, not
they
at
don't
all.
say anything. So they just say I want this to have this kind of feel, and you have the freedom to go in and make it have that feel in your kind of style.
Yeah, I believe what happens is, like, I think you could even possibly throw away the bookshelf they have at first. Like, say for example, if there was one object that someone went and they said like a cool vibe or something, and they had like a glass partition, they had a minimalistic bed, and then they had a stereo set. And the glass partition was white, their minimalistic bed was white, and I really wanted to make the whole room like this bleach white, like it looked really cool, to kind of have that style, and like it really fit their kind of ensemble that they had, and that kind of animal. But their stereo set was wooden with like a black face and stuff, and it was just like, this doesn't really fit that whole all white vibe. Like it seemed really like ugly in the midst of the apartment. And I kept it just because I was worried about deleting it. But from what I've heard, I'm pretty sure you can just delete objects that you don't want in there, even if they were the ones that provided it. And that kind of goes back, though, to the whole thing where there's really no punishment or difficulty of the game. Because if you were to do that, I'm pretty sure all the animal says is, oh, where'd my TV go? Or where'd my stereo go? Oh, well, like, I still love what you did, Like, and because they just don't want, like, kids that play the game to feel bad. But I think it does punish you a little bit by saying, like, oh, you didn't include what I wanted, or something like that. But I think they do, like, let it slide, or if you have, like, a certain amount. So I think you do need, like, to include one thing from the original package, or try to go for that theme. But I think a lot of that's even more so just for inspiration for yourself.
Yeah.
So you're kind of not just like, okay, here's hundreds of objects of furniture, go crazy. It's kind of like, try to keep it within a bookshelf sort of theme. But I mean, even with the book theme, like, some people, like I heard Brian Altano had that bookworm person, and he was so mad that the person wanted to read books, he said, that he just put books all over the wall and stuff, and just made all of the walls bookshelves that just closed in on the person. It was just chaos inside there. He just spanned that whole object. And just really made it look like a library is what he was kind of going for. And I went for more of this is just kind of like a little person's nook, like they're just hanging out, cozying up. I like put a fireplace in there, and then I saw someone else that like had like the bookworm thing, but they just kind of went for a more, all right, there's one book in the corner because they only need one bookshelf, and the rest of it's just a normal looking house, like with a table and a fridge and stuff like that. And so I think we're going to see, like, even if someone has this, like, a bookworm sort of vibe, we're still going to see a lot of different things online. Yeah. And I don't know if necessarily the game is meant to, like, have a reward system, or too rewarding of a reward system and all that. Like, it does, I guess, in that sense, lack a little bit of the gaminess.
I was going to say almost that it seems like this Animal Crossing game it's very, very relaxed. Feels like
Yep.
Animal Crossing itself is like a super, super relaxed game, and this seems like even more relaxed than Animal Crossing, which is already super relaxed. So it seems just like a very, I mean, it seems a lot like, I mean, I kind of compare it in a way to Super Mario Maker. Not in like, you can't just totally make your own house from scratch, but just kind of how it provides you with a lot of the Animal Crossing palette and tool set in a way of, kind of decorating giving you kind of how Mario Maker, gives you the tools you can use, and you have to make it based on whatever theme you choose, things like that, So it kind of, in a way, just feels like like almost how even Super Mario Maker doesn't feel like a fully fledged Super Mario title. It feels more putting it in your own hands and kind of little increments. Happy
Yeah.
Home Designer seems a bit like that, even though it's not the same thing. I guess even the title alone, Happy Home Designer, just with more Super Mario Maker and Designer, it kind of, I don't even know, like maybe they're just trying to go for that theme a bit. Because they're launching so quickly together, kind of is interesting to me that they're both very creating in your own hands without much of because Super Mario Maker doesn't have much of a reward system besides if you want to share your courses online. Otherwise, it's just creating them for your own satisfaction and things like that. So, yeah, it's an interesting kind of combo there, I think, with those two games.
I think, I mean, I'm kind of embracing the game as I'm just going to sit down and design a house, like I'm just like, because it's so, I think the charm of the game is enough of a reward for me just to be in that world. And especially, and I think some of the challenges also just kind of in the hunt for the amiibo cards now, like that's kind of a cool, like, meta game in that, and I can talk a little bit more about the amiibo cards and what my impressions of those, because I'm actually kind of disappointed in how those actually play into the game. I thought they had a much different purpose. And maybe I'm just haven't got to that point yet. But I view the game as, like, the other day, for example, it was like 2 or 3 a.m. and I just finished that application for the IGN freelance job, which, hopefully I get that. But I finished that application. My brain was fried, and so I didn't really want to do Super Mario Maker because that just takes so much out of me to, like, make a level and really pour myself into it and do play testing and play testing and play testing.
Right.
And I didn't want to do Destiny because, once again, like, just to do strikes in that game or do quests or do bounties or mess around with my character's stats and upgrade system and go grind. I mean, even that can be pretty extensive. And so Happy Home Designer, though, like, it's always that thing where it's like, you want to play a game because you're so tired, but there's lots of games that you're just too tired to play. And Happy Home Designer kind of had that whole just relax, just chill, and design a home. And it's so intuitive with the touchscreen, especially, where you don't have that frustration of designing a home like you do in New Leaf, where you have to grab the object and pull it. And if you, like, I mean, like the other day when I was playing, I wanted to experiment with maybe having the TV in another corner of the room, just to see how that would look. And it was just as easy as highlighting all of that corner, picking it up, dragging it over, and dropping it, and then rotating it. And I was like, oh, no, oop, ugly, don't like it. And I just moved it right back. And it wasn't nearly as much of a chore as New Leaf is, where you have to put everything in your pocket and then put it back out and make sure it's, like, you're kind of standing right in the corner and facing that way. It was just really, really simple. And it's like you said, like, Animal Crossing New Leaf is already simple enough, and then this just takes that and tries to find, I don't think it necessarily dumbs it down, because I don't feel like it's ever, like, insulting my intelligence or just too simple, like, in a sense where it's trying to be a challenge. No, it just understands that what it is a really, really simple game where you just, as you said, like, happily design homes. And my big thing, though, is I was hoping, and I need to get farther in the game, but I was hoping that the amiibo cards would unlock different villagers to design their homes, and then you could save their homes on the card. I thought that was the thing, because then I thought maybe you could, like, go take it, like, if you had your 3DS, I could take my card to you and be like, look at this house I designed for Deli, or Wolfgang, or I mean even like Tortimer or something. Like I designed this house for him, and I could show you that like through it being kind of stored on his card. And I also love the idea of having like this big deck of cards, which is a bunch of different houses, that I designed.
Yeah.
And from what I've gathered so far is, like I said earlier, you finish a house, and then you can go visit that house whenever you want. You can hang out with them, which is actually really, really cool because you have that whole interaction with the animals, which I always thought Animal Crossing did some brilliant writing for the animals. Like, they're so cute, but then some of them also have some really deep, insightful things to say. And it's just, like, really just fun to interact with them and share the stories of what they say.
Yeah.
And so you can go hang out with them after you design their house. And if you want, you can drop in an amiibo card, and then the amiibo, or the animal from the amiibo, visits the house also.
Mm-hmm.
And they all hang out. And so, in theory, I could always be hanging out with Wolfgang. I could always be talking to him and never, ever have him leave my side. But at the same time, it's like, what? Like, that's their functionality? It's just they just walk in and hang out? Like,
Yeah.
It would have been cool to have some sort of data transferring back and forth between the two.
Yeah, well, it seems like, I mean, it kind of, when we think about the Smash Brothers amiibo and what they can store on them, it doesn't seem like they can really store too much data, and they're actual figures with an actual, like, NFC chip in them. I'm not sure I think that the amiibo cards they've got to have some sort of
you can see the
chip
you can see the little chip on there. It looks kind of like if you ever like go to a store and like you take like a DVD or something and they have those little magnetic strips on the back.
Oh, I see.
It's kind of like a little square flat chip that's on the logo on the back of the card.
I wonder if it's any different than the ones. I wonder if they're all the same chip inside of them, and like just the actual figurines, the platform that they're on is just mostly for show, and it's just a small tiny chip, which I would be surprised. Most USB drives are basically designed that way, where the actual thing itself is super small.
Yeah.
That's just the USB shell is decorative.
Dad had a USB that was literally like the size, like the width or length or whatever depth of a debit card.
Yeah.
And he could put it in his wallet and then just pull out the little USB part of it, and it was just so thin and tiny because it was just, that part's just super small. And so,
but I was just thinking, they probably can't store that much data. And I was thinking of probably that the data of a house and how you've arranged it is probably not too much information, but still putting it on a card just seems a bit like, I don't know how that technology works exactly, but
yeah. And maybe I haven't got to a point where I can unlock it or something. Like maybe there's going to be an object, because I'm still kind of in that beginning stage where, like, when I show back up to the Happy Home Designer office, they're still like, hey, here's another thing that we can show you. Like, I'm still in that beginning stages where things are still being kind of gradually unlocked.
Right.
But I have unlocked the amiibo functionality when someone asked about that. And unless it has more functionality than that, I thought that was maybe all there was. And so if someone else knows, maybe they can leave a comment down below of that. But that's my biggest gripe with the game so far. It's just I was really, really excited, and I probably still will collect all the amiibo cards because I think it's like $1 a card.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like that hunt, and it seems like it would be easy to just pick up a pack of cards every now and then. It's almost like trading cards again, only with an actual like virtual reality chip inside, or just that kind of data stored inside. Hopefully Pokemon does something with that in the future. That's the big thing I got with the amiibo cards is, whoa, like this is the future of playing cards, It's a stack of cards that has data inside of it. That's just so cool.
Yeah.
And just swipe that on, like even Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like that was Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day, and to do that with Pokemon and stuff would be crazy. Excuse me. But, overall impressions of the game, I've kind of like addressed all my concerns. I do think it's very, very fun, very, very lighthearted, very easy, but not in a bad way where it's like, oh, this is supposed to be a challenge, but it's just not well organized to be hard. No, it's supposed to be a game you sit down on the couch with and you just design a house for a bit. And maybe do a couple houses, and then you put it down. And there's like 400 animals. And so, even if I just do a house a day, or if I do like a couple houses an afternoon, the game is going to last me for a year. And it's just, it's going to last for a long time. And then I can go back and redesign houses, and I can share the houses, and I can have little parties and interact with the animals. Like, it's going to be a game that lasts for a while, you know? Which I think makes it worth the money. If people thought, I mean, that's the big thing. I think people, the reason they're attacking it for it being less of a game than like New Leaf or something is because of the price tag. But with New Leaf, for example, I find myself doing a lot of repeating things that it's not new content. It's always the same thing sometimes for like a week at a time until I can save up and do something different. But with Happy Home Designer, every time I go in, it's a new animal, it's a new house, and it's really kind of cool to be like, I've always wanted to meet Deli, and I've always wanted to hang out with Deli, or I've always wanted to meet, I don't know, like Blue Bear, or like one of those, or Jeremiah, the bullfrog, and it's because they not moved from my town ever, and like they can always do that animal you're hunting for, and you have a much better chance of finding them in Happy Home Designer and being able to interact with them. And so it's kind of a celebration. Once, like, it's just like Super Mario Maker, like you said. It's a celebration of the Animal Crossing franchise by giving control over to the player. And so that's really cool. Oh, someone's walking in. All right, sorry about that brief interruption. I'm recording in the computer lab at my university, and normally on the weekends it's pretty open, but someone just walked in, and so we had to put a little brief halt on that. But as we were saying...
Yeah, I had a little thought that I was just starting into before she came in.
So go ahead and continue.
I kind of had a scary thought about this whole Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer thing, about, you know, I can definitely see almost how it relates in a way to Pokemon also, and how I'm kind of, it could be scary if they would have released like Happy Home Designer blue version and Happy Home Designer red version, where, you know, I could see it totally like taking this franchise on beyond, since it seems almost how for a while they were kind of shoveling out Pokemon games year after year, and they've taken a little bit of a step down from that here recently. But I was just thinking about with the Animal Crossing series and with just how many animals they have, and they could make more, and introducing just like they could do a Happy Home Designer 2 where there's suddenly 1,000 more items of furniture. It seems just to me almost an easier method of a quicker way to annualize potentially this series by doing the spin-offs more frequently than the actual game itself. I'm not sure.
And now that you mentioned that whole concept of like an annualization of it, I could also see maybe just like The Sims has Sims IKEA stuff and Sims space stuff and Sims. I mean, they just have they have those stuff expansion packs. I could see like a Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer DLC pack, Mario Edition, where it's just kind of those, like how you always got those Mario items from Timmy and Tommy Nook with the fortune cookies. I could see that being a thing where like they add in just like a special showcase of items.
Yeah.
And then maybe like even like a kind of Mario looking person comes into town or something, you know. Or I'm waiting to see like what happens around Halloween or Christmas with how Animal Crossing's always kind of celebrated the holidays. As far as I know, you can do the spooky set right now in Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. And so it's not like it's waiting for Halloween, but at the same time I wonder if they're going to do something to kind of celebrate that and add in maybe even free DLC or updates in that way to add in more furniture and more items and more villagers. And so...
Yeah, it would be a bit disappointing, I think, if it didn't do any seasonal sort of thing.
And that's the other thing, like, this whole conversation we've gone back and forth between what New Leaf has done and what Happy Home Designer has done. And Happy Home Designer has refined and polished the Animal Crossing franchise so much, and especially with these touchscreen mechanics, like, it's just perfect for Animal Crossing. Like, whether Animal Crossing Wii U or Animal Crossing NX or the next 3DS Animal Crossing or whatever, like, it needs to have that form of designing homes. But it also needs to have what New Leaf had, where you're the mayor of a town and you feel significant and get the rewarding system through that. And so it's going to be interesting. I think the NX Animal Crossing is going to be the game that combines those. And I think even with Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival coming out this fall, I think that's kind of, or maybe this winter, I think that's kind of our hint that maybe there was an Animal Crossing being designed for the Wii U, and then with Happy Home Designer, they're like, wait, let's save this for the NX and make something that really combines New Leaf, Happy Home Designer, and makes an awesome, complete Animal Crossing experience for this next-gen console. and maybe even through your amiibo cards can like use those over there in that game as well. But I definitely think this is a sign of kind of where the franchise is going to go, and I think it was kind of more like a getting their feet wet with this whole concept of using the touchpad to design games, using just the share functionality of Miiverse and how people enjoy sharing their homes, what they kind of design, and how much diversity there is through all that. And so, but yeah, really fun game. I mean, I think personally it's worth the money if you like Animal Crossing. If you have, I also love the new 3DS functionality. It doesn't have the C stick. I haven't seen, but just the 3D being improved just makes Animal Crossing so nice, and it's just really immersive when you're designing that home because it's just stuff popping around and moving around. Like the 3D and the visuals of the game are just on point. Like the graphics just seem so good. I don't know if it's upgraded at all from the New Leaf engine. It seems pretty similar, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it was a little more refined and updated. And
yeah, some of the images I saw, it looked really, really crisp and clean, and I was like kind of surprised that I couldn't tell. Like, I was like, am I looking at a 3DS version or like because it just looked really, really nice. So
yeah, and I thought the same thing, and so I think it's definitely worth the money. Like I even talking about it for this long. It's one of those games like I'm kind of eager to go back and play more of it tonight. Do a Destiny strike, do a Destiny mission, maybe design a level in Mario Maker, but then I really, really just want to get back to designing like a house or two. And so definitely a good break. And it's also going to be one of those games I think it's great for commuting to work for people. It's going to be a great car trip game where maybe in Animal Crossing you would do your chores for the day, but then you wouldn't have anything to do for like the next 8 hours of your car trip. Or however long your car trip is. 8 hours is pretty long. But this, you can just continuously design homes and mess with that. And so it's going to be really nice in that way.
Yeah.
But moving on, we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a big deal this week.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to getting it sometime. I'm not sure when exactly I'll get it. I'm, pretty busy with games right now, and I was kind of waiting for kind of this episode and to kind of hear your impressions of it, and it seems like definitely something that I'm more, leaning towards now. I love Animal Crossing. I love New Leaf. And
they have a deli card.
Yeah. I'm for sure gonna get it eventually. It's just a matter of when. I'm kind of plotting it strategically of when I'm gonna strike on that. But
I would recommend for you, and I know this is a Nintendo podcast, but I mean, if people are being like scarce of their money, my personal recommendation would be like save your money for like the Uncharted collection.
I'm trying to wait for some of those releases and then figuring like Animal Crossing New Leaf. Eventually, they did a lot of deals on it over the next year because it was such a hot seller. Like they would do a lot of Pokemon X and Y and Animal Crossing little flash deals. So I might wait for one of those just since I already have New Leaf.
Yeah, it'd be a very good digital game. Very good, like digital only game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is in a bundle though. If you do want to get it this holiday season, it'll be coming out on a new 3DS bundle, the smaller version. And the cool thing about the smaller version is it comes with little face plates. Casway, get it, segue. The new cover plates for the new 3DS, ranging from $19.99 or $9.99 to $16.99, are coming. And there's lots of new Zelda ones, which are kind of weird since I guess we're getting Triforce Heroes. My bad. And so
I think there's one Zelda one that I see. I don't know. If
that's the most expensive one. But yeah, there's a Pikachu one. There's a big Kirby one that's kind of that similar wooden Mario style that we've seen in the past. And then just the most epic KK Slider one where he just
I love that.
Soul. Super minimalistic, super cool. KK Slider is by far my favorite Animal Crossing character to kind of wrap up that discussion and tie that into the 3DS plates. But one thing that I kind of want to talk about in two different chunks, or kind of like tied together, is we have 1 week left of the Smash Brothers ballot, and along with that, Target's listed the Shovel Knight amiibo as a January 8th release. Now, could this possibly mean that Shovel Knight will be decided as the winner of the Smash ballot and be arriving as DLC on January 8th? Maybe, possibly. Or maybe like he'll be released this holiday season to kind of hype up Smash Brothers again for their holiday sales. And
True.
Amiibo will come out, and you can do all the Amiibo stuff with him.
Yeah, because Mewtwo's not out yet, right? Mewtwo Amiibo, I don't believe it's out yet, so that's another example. And
actually, a lot of characters are now.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Did see at GameStop. GameStop is loaded with the retro packs. I'm so happy because I haven't had the money to go get those yet, but I was super worried that they would be out. And like at least the GameStops at the Mall of America had stacks of them, like where they couldn't even fit them on the shelves anymore.
Yeah, and I was telling you here they did too.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know. You asked if you maybe thought those were like the pre-order ones. People like, I pre-ordered those. I asked at the GameStop at the Mall of America, and those are even like reserved copies. Those are just complete overstock, ready to go.
Yeah.
So well done, Nintendo, for supplying that demand.
Yeah, I noticed that even like Zero Suit, Ganon, I noticed that they were stocked up on a lot of them at multiple locations.
Dr.
So I
Mario
think
is a Target extravaganza right now. Like there's so much of him at Target.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, we don't need. I think we've talked about the possibility of Shovel Knight as an as an Animal Crossing character. No, as a Smash Bros. Character for a long time now. And it'll be interesting to see. Like the ballot closes in a week. You just wonder what they're gonna say. If they're gonna announce anything right when it ends, or if they're gonna take a time to tally the votes and tally the votes, and if they're gonna figure that out, or what exactly is gonna happen. And as we've mentioned, I believe it was last week with the Super Mario Maker stage discussion, it's around that same time, and so maybe we'll see another stage with the Smash ballot reveal as well. But just because it's ending in a week doesn't make me think we're necessarily going to get an announcement next week. That may be saved for like a fall direct or something. Or, I don't know, they're not even doing directs right now. They're just saying whatever they want to say whenever they want to say it.
Yeah.
It'll probably be John Cena. John Cena will probably be the one that wins the Smash ballot, and they'll just throw him in there. I see a lot of John Cena memes going on right now, and so I had to throw that in there. But yeah, anything you want to add to that?
No, I see it. I see they probably won't announce. I mean, I could see both situations where they announce right away, like the Smash ballot's closed, here's the winner. And I could also see them doing a more prolonged announcement with it. Maybe they have already known the winner for a while. I mean, or maybe like a clear winner.
Yeah.
And they've been ready and preparing an announcement. I'm not sure.
Well, I think that's why I think the Smash ballot has been giving them results for a long time, and I think that's why there's certain things like King K. Rool as an amiibo or as a Mii costume.
Yeah.
And just things like that, I think, or Chrom even, because I bet Chrom got a lot of votes. And
yeah, it seems like with Smash, a lot of their a lot of the things that they set up with that game, with the global point system and it seems like they just got a lot of little tracking things of the data of like who's using what characters. They're just, with this game, they've been collecting a lot of information from everybody about, what modes they're using, how many times they boot up and click, do this, what characters they want the most and are voting for and talking about. And it seems like they've really been listening to, with Smash especially, the fan base the most of any franchise recently. So
yeah, it's interesting. I think it was like some sort of like, and not to bring up Destiny so much, but that's a really hot game going on right now. And in an interview with that, they were talking about, we know how long someone did this mission, and we know how long what level people stopped playing at. And he's like, so many people stopped playing at level 20, but there was 10 more levels they just didn't know about, that content and stuff. And we know this and that. And it's interesting. I never really thought, dang, these guys know a lot,
Mm-hmm.
How do they know so much? And it's just because that game's always online. And with Smash Bros., with how big the online community is, with For Glory and For Fun, they probably do get a lot of information and know how often a character is being played, and so they know how many people are playing the Mario franchise and the Donkey Kong franchise, and how many people play the retro characters and characters that use a sword and characters and they probably look at all of that. It's when they think about someone like Shovel Knight, they probably do think, man, people really do love sword fighters, and he would kind of be that sort of sword vibe,
Yeah.
or maybe they they're looking at maybe they're looking at Donkey Kong and seeing that Diddy Kong and Donkey Kong get a lot of playtime, and they're not even thinking, oh, he must be OP. They're probably thinking, people really love Donkey Kong. Well, let's put King K. Rool in there. And they probably think about things like that. And so it's just interesting to see, yeah, like you said, that they're looking at a lot of information, just how developers nowadays are able to see a lot of that. And it'll be interesting to see also with things like Mario Maker, like how they look at what themes people are using the most, how many underwater levels there are, and yeah, just expanding beyond that. And as Nintendo gets more and more online, it's going to be interesting to see how their games develop with how much feedback they get from the community, where they haven't had that really for the past 20 years of designing games, or 30 years of designing games. It's always been, we hope you guys like this, but we haven't really been able to see how you react to it unless like you guys are audible about it.
Yeah.
But now they can just watch and get cold hard facts.
Yeah.
Moving forward though, so we've discussed Animal Crossing, we've discussed Smash Bros, the new 3DS plates, the Shovel Knight amiibo, to of course bring up Super Mario Maker, even though we've done it several times already. In the midst of a data dump of that game, it was found that the Angry Sun course element was found. The Angry Sun, obviously from Super Mario Brothers 3, I believe, right?
Yep.
And just that angry, just ticked off sun that would fly down and really mess up your day on that level.
Yeah, for the longest time, that was I remember as a kid, that was a tough level. For some reason, like, then it one day just clicked, when you're older, and it's just like, it's a breeze to blow through that level, but as a kid, man, that angry sun was like, and those little tornadoes and stuff.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the fact that he was, like, diving down on you, because Lakitu, like, messes you up, too, with throwing things down on you. Yeah. But I think it was just the fact that he was so angry and intimidating. He just chased you, and at first he wasn't moving, but he was just following you, and then he swooped down, and you're like, what in the world? Like, that's scary. And it'd be really cool. I feel like that'd be such an easy element to add in. Just like the Lakitu cloud follows you, and all that stuff does. Like, you could easily put that sun in there. I could see people doing some really cool stuff with that, like where it just follows you and then swoops down like a certain parabola of distance or whatever. You could just add that in there. What's interesting that if it was found a data dump, you just wonder why it's in there. Does that mean it's going to be coming later as DLC? Does that mean it's never coming because they abandoned the idea and it was in there at one point?
Right.
Or like, what's that mean, And so it goes along with that whole discussion we had last week of slopes and just all those mechanics being added in. I think we're going to get more information on that as the holiday season comes, and as even like with that Smash Bros thing next week with that new stage launching. Or I guess it's this week, right? Yeah, this week. Yeah. And so yeah. But it's a cool little tidbit of information. Any thoughts on that? I mean, do you think it's going to come in now, or do you think it's going to come in as DLC, or do you think it was in there but it's never coming back? Or
I think they're all, plausible. I think that we're more than likely going to get DLC, and more than likely, like we discussed, things were cut probably because of the 30th anniversary and wanting to get it out at that time, not wanting to delay it, things like that. So I think that DLC will definitely be coming. I could see the Angry Sun element definitely being a part of it. I could also see it just being something that they scrapped, but who knows? I think that they're going to want to bring in as much as they can because, like we were saying, they just don't have much this fall. And so if they can create more frenzy and have more in their little trailer to hype it up and say, slopes and Angry Sun and these costumes are coming and checkpoints and new search system for online. Like, I just think they'd want to throw in as much as they can of to get people hyped up, and they might even split it up like they did with the Mario Kart, and maybe not even announce like DLC Pack 1 and DLC Pack 2, but just do it in a sort of more like they've done Smash, where it's just out of the blue, hey, here's more DLC, and I could see them possibly, since it's already in there, maybe the Angry Sun would come in the DLC Pack 1, or something like that. But I mean, who can really tell what they'll choose? I think it seems plausible. It seems either scenario. I'm not sure what the reason was that it was cut. Maybe it just didn't fit what was going on. Like maybe, I don't know, it threw off too many things, or it was just too complicated of a element, or it just made an extra icon on the screen, and they had their 4, or 5 toolbars that they had, and it's just like
It is interesting how well that lays out, like them.
Yeah.
I mean, I never even thought of things being cut or added for that reason, like
Yeah,
we need to add another enemy so we can fill that whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, let's add in let's make the mushroom like a separate thing, like a 1-up mushroom and a super mushroom.
Yeah.
Like maybe those were like originally combined, and you could shake it to make it a 1-up, and then they're like, no, we can't do that because we need an extra object there, like.
Yeah.
I
can totally see that. Maybe like for the DLC, like they prepare a whole new toolbar that is complete, and I could see it like DLC toolbar 1, and then DLC toolbar 2, or something like that,
Yeah, or I even thought even that with the amiibo costumes and stuff. Like right now, the 100 really fits into that grid quite well. It's like 10 by 10, but I just wonder if they add in one costume, it's just like this random. Just thing, the OCD in me is like, no, add in 10 more. What are you doing? But moving on to the final, I think, point of discussion. We have a few minutes left. Maybe get out a little bit before the hour. But two kind of things that are just an interesting point to wrap up on. Praises for Nintendo. There's discussion of Mario being kind of like the savior for Nintendo. John Taylor, the managing director at Arcadia Investment Corp., said that Mario was the single largest video game property ever. Which I don't think anyone would deny that. That'd be really silly to deny that. Who would be bigger, I mean,
I deny it. Sonic?
No. Giant robot.
Crash.
No, but you bring that up, Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, huge franchise, not as big as Mario.
Right.
Halo, huge, not as big as Mario.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty even. I mean, Call of Duty may be coming close, but then you have. It's just there's no. One of the big things that holds Call of Duty back is just kind of its inconsistency, where it's not about World War II, or it's not about this soldier's journey, or it's not about. It's just about war, but I don't know. It's just it just lacks that and stuff, and then just all the bad stuff it gets and all that. But then you have Uncharted with the Uncharted collection coming, and right now Uncharted's being praised as the best remaster ever. And because of that, it's just making one of the best series ever even better. And as huge as Uncharted is, and The Last of Us and the Naughty Dog studio, Mario's bigger, And it's along with that. Speaking of Uncharted, Shuhei Yoshida has chosen the Wii U as his favorite non-Sony console, and he went on to say, "I play a lot of Wii U games with my daughters." And so you have John Taylor, who I originally read as John Travolta, saying that the Super Mario is the single largest video game property ever. You have Shuhei Yoshida, who, if you guys don't know, he's the president of Sony, or Sony PlayStation. And you have those, and then he's loving the Wii U. And it's just, Nintendo, it's interesting for the lack of success they're having with this latest console generation. It's just still crazy that they're still at the same time just the best, And it's one of those things where Nintendo will always be around, Mario will always be around, and it's going to be interesting, Zach, here in your notes that you have with Super Mario Maker, the age groups, the new mobile deal, the transition to mobile devices, the Universal Studios things launching, the NX coming. It's just Mario's just going to be playing such a huge role in that. And I think for a while they were trying to kind of abandon Mario.
Yeah.
Even last year's E3, they were no, we actually have no new Mario thing to show off this year. No new Mario game because, people were give us Star Fox, give us Legend of Zelda, give us Metroid. We don't want Mario. You always do Mario. And I think they're really starting to embrace it. No, Mario is an icon and it can just tear through anything. Yeah. And, And it's just interesting because obviously putting Mario's name on something doesn't make it better, and yet it kind of does at the same time. Like, because somehow along with that, the games usually are just better. It's always a better platformer or a better so and so, you know. And
Yeah.
but yeah, what are your thoughts on John Taylor's statement and Shuhei Yoshida's statement? Oh, Shu.
Yeah, I was thinking that, I think they can definitely, and I think I was kind of comparing it to Half-Life 3, where I think Super Mario Galaxy 3 is kind of Nintendo's, it's a weapon that they have that they can always pull out, and I think that they will pull it out. I think unlike Half-Life 3, I think Mario Galaxy 3 will happen, and I think that it will be a huge thing for them. I was kind of thinking, like, I wonder how soon they realized that the Wii U wasn't going to be what they maybe wanted it to be, and wonder what their thought process was behind Mario Galaxy 3, if it was even a question, or if they're going to do it. And, because Miyamoto just not that long ago kind of brought that up again about
Yeah.
possibly going back to Mario Galaxy 3. And I'm not saying it'll be called Mario Galaxy 3, but I'm definitely thinking just like they're going to go and do the next big 3D Super Mario title that will be the Mario 64 of the NX or whatever they're going to do. And I think it's just a guaranteed seller for them, like a huge franchise that, and it's almost like last year with their with what you were saying, with everybody saying give us Star Fox, give us Zelda. It seems almost like they kind of put Mario aside because this year's 30th anniversary, and then they showed us yet again, like, no, you do want Mario. Like,
Yeah.
Mario is, Super Mario Maker is just blowing everybody away, and it's, I think, making people get that feeling again, like we miss Mario. And I think even the way that they did it with 3D Worlds and releasing that, and not being a real next, like people were saying, New Super Mario Bros. Is getting overdone with the DS, and then the Wii U one, and the Wii one, and the 3DS one, and the Luigi one, and then 3D World. They just haven't for a while gone back to the Galaxy, the classic 3D styled game. And I think that while people were getting tired of Mario and maybe getting overbeared with the New Super Mario Bros., they were saying no more Mario, no more Mario, and then kind of were feeling like, where's our like real Mario game? Like, we haven't got one for a while. Like, yes, we've been spoiled with a lot of Mario, but we haven't been given our real Mario game. So it's been kind of, I think people have a mixed feeling with Mario, where they really do want that next Mario game, but they have also felt that for a while they just kind of oversaturated Mario with the New Super Mario Bros. And I think that they did a really smart thing with the Super Mario Maker, where it kind of sets it, or kind of switches it all back. I think it kind of starts over the whole thing and kind of gets it a fresh start, where here's the classic style, the New Super Mario Bros. Kind of thing approach, where it's the modern day, and you can play the side-scrolling Mario games, but you get to make it yourself. So maybe that opens the space for them to focus more on the because it seems like for the longest time people were really missing the Super Nintendo days of Super Mario World and the classic Super Mario Bros. 3 for the longest time, and so that they came back and solved that issue with New Super Mario Bros. And then they made that they gave people what they wanted with those side-scrolling classics again. They were never really up to the quality of the originals, which I think that with New Super Mario Bros. U, they did get to that quality of some of the older classic Mario games. I think that one is on par, but I think they gave people that, and now it's time to move back. And I think with Super Mario Maker, that kind of puts hopefully, or it could put the final say on that whole sort of era recently of the going back to the roots of the side-scrolling. And it seems even 3D World, in a way, while it was kind of a mix of the 3D style and the side-scrolling classic style with the flagpole and how the levels were kind of laid out, I think that hopefully they're finally ready to move on from that. And maybe they will switch the side-scrolling element more to the mobile devices and do their 3D thing more on the console. I'm not really sure what they'll do or how they'll handle that, but yeah, that's kind of my thought, is that I think that it's a definite, I think that Mario is the savior of Nintendo. I think that if they came out and announced next year, E3 or something, that the NX will have a new 3D big title, I think that people will finally rejoice as because I think that nobody is feeling like we've been oversaturated with a new extravaganza like 3D big Super Mario title. I think that it's been really, really a long time for that. So I think that
I mean, maybe with 3D World, I mean, no one got Galaxy 2 and was like, a Galaxy 2? Like, what? Why are you giving us a second Galaxy? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, no one said that. Like, and they won't say that if they get Galaxy 3. And honestly, I don't think they would say that even if they got 3D World 2. You know, like,
yeah,
they'd be like,
I love 3D World, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, I love 3D World 2, but when I did my Let's Play series and did Galaxy 1 and 2, I was like, oh, come on, bring this back.
Yeah, definitely.
After draining 3D World of everything, I was like, oh man, Galaxy is really, really fun and creative. But yeah, I think that's all we have for today.
Yeah.
We're at 56 minutes on the record recording thing. With the intro and outro music, we'll be at about an hour, but then there's also that silly person that came in and interrupted us. I don't even know what they did. They just walked in. They looked super nervous the moment they saw me. They went back and, like, turned on the restroom light, like, behind me, and then they left the computer lab and just, I don't know what they were doing. Weird. I don't know. Maybe they forgot something in here or something. I'm not quite sure. But, yeah, that was weird. And so sorry for that interruption today. And we're experimenting with a different audio recorder for Koppai Podcast. Hopefully in a week maybe we can go back to our other software if this one isn't as good. But if it was any dip in quality, our apologies. We're just trying to experiment some different things. And so we'll continue just to provide and refine things as we go forward. But yeah, we're on episode 7. We're ending 7. It's just crazy that we're that's 7 weeks. I mean, episode 7 doesn't sound like a lot, but then when you realize that it's like 7 weeks, almost 2 months worth of Koppai and of all that, that's cool. So yeah, that's another Koppai in the books. Be sure to leave a comment down below with your thoughts on Happy Home Designer. If you got Happy Home Designer, if you picked that up, or if you're thinking about picking it up. Give us your thoughts on what you think is going to happen with the Smash ballot. When do you think we'll find out about the results? Who do you think is going to win? How many people do you think are going to win? Do you think we're going to get 1 new person or 2 new people or what's up? Let us know if you have the new 3DS with the faceplates and what faceplates you're rocking. Maybe send us a picture. Tweet at Kazrisk or at Zachrisk. Kazrisk or Zakrisk. And yeah, just go play Mario because he's the best.
Yeah.
Play Galaxy, play 3D World, play Super Mario Maker. Send us your course IDs. I've been playing. I uploaded a bunch of videos of my levels and how I made them. I uploaded 1 video, I think just 1 so far of Zach's levels. Maybe at this point I'll have uploaded 2, and we'll continue to do that. And if you guys leave your course IDs down below, I'll play your levels, I'll make a video of them, and I'll upload that onto here so you guys can get some publicity for your levels so you can get those sweet, sweet stars, because those can be hard to come by. And so, yeah, I think that's all we have to say. Anything you want to close us out with?
Koppai.
Koppai. Well,
I think that's all that needs to be said, really.
I think so. So, yeah. Koppai?
Koppai.
Koppai.